This Cancer new moon conjunct Jupiter is about expanding your soft power. It's about growing and rooting your emotional capacity so that you can play bigger without fizzling out or hiding your head in the sand. The inner work is your leadership development. In this episode, we'll explore the signs that you're ready for a big leap, how to choose possibility in uncertain times, and what your moon sign reveals about how to self soothe while doing brave, meaningful things. Because when fear, scarcity, separation, and shame try to keep us small, astrology reminds us we have a choice, the freedom to choose possibility and hope in an abundant universe. So during this new moon, let's intend a new possibility. Hey, Luminary, I'm Leslie Tagorda, your astrologer and brand navigator, here to help you lead with your stars. If you're ready to unlock your one of a kind brilliance, expand your leadership, and harness astrology as a tool for your change making work, well, you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe, and if you know a visionary who needs to hear this, share it with them. Let's light the way together. All right, friends, I am here for a short and sweet episode about this beautiful Cancer new moon. Every year, we get at least one Cancer new moon, and it's really such a potent time. If you've been working with the moon, you know that the moon is ruled by Cancer. And so to have a new moon in her home sign, potent sign of Cancer, it's all the things. And on top of that, we also have the new moon with conjunct Jupiter. We haven't had a new moon conjunct Jupiter for the last 12 years because Jupiter makes its way around the zodiac every 12 years. So now that Jupiter has finally made its foray into Cancer, we get to have these beautiful new moons that are conjunct Cancer that just allow us to do everything bigger: expansion, growth, strengthening, rooting, grounding. This is absolutely what the Cancer new moon wants us to share. Now, what's even more beautiful about this Cancer new moon is that this Cancer new moon is just a few days after solstice. And I hope that you had a chance to do a beautiful reflection ceremony at solstice time. In my last episode, it's not too late to do a solstice ritual. In my last episode, I offered some reflection questions in terms of like the things that we're pruning and leaving behind when we take our inventory of this kind of stillness part of the year, but also taking an inventory of what we want to bring into the future. Not only the things that we want to accomplish, but truly how we want to feel. Because as we are moving through leadership, moving through uncertain times, oh my goodness. It has never been clearer that we get to choose how we want to move forward. Now, on Solstice, I was super lucky because I got to join four of like my favorite friends, some Filipina astrologers, some woo-woo practitioners, just like all these wonderful things. And we took a trek in San Francisco out to Ocean Beach to do our own version of our solstice ritual. Now, of course, being near living water so that we can make our offerings, we poured our offerings into the ocean. But you know what? This was not a simple task. If you've never been to Northern California, if you haven't been to San Francisco, it's not the California that like the tourism industry wants you to know. San Francisco in June is called June gloom because all that moisture, all of the marine layer coming up on the coast, if it's really warm inland, like even 10 miles east, if it's really warm inland, that marine layer comes up in the form of this beautiful wind and fog and cloudiness. And this year so far in June, it has been very, very cold, very, very gloomy. So as soon as we got to the beach, the five of us were looking at the ocean and the wind was just like absolutely whipping. Ocean Beach has a really, really long sandy, like sandbar or sand shore that goes out to the ocean. And so we got all of our things all prepped up in the car and like we're like, okay, we're gonna do it. And so to walk from the parking lot to the shore, oh my gosh, you had to go, I don't know how long it was. It felt like it was like a mile. I'm sure it was not a mile, but we had to put all our hats on, our glasses on, our gloves on. Like we just got all bundled up and like was like head butting against the wind. And the wind was moving so fast. We could feel the sand kind of whipping. We luckily all of us had eye protection. We all had like sunglasses that was doing the trick, but you really couldn't see very clearly. And the wind was so strong. And honestly, this was just showing us in like when you listen to the signs, just listening to the signs of that place was that our intentions, what our offerings, what we wanted to throw into the ocean as an offering, as a release, we had to put in the effort. This was not going to be easy. The weather, the symbols of the weather were showing us that change is coming fast. It's coming fierce. There's lots of wind that is going to annoy us. That's going to like reduce visibility. It's going to make things questionable and a little bit uncomfortable. But if you choose to get to the shore, that's where things change. So when we get to where the water meets the sand, all of a sudden the wind was still blowing, but now the sand is wet. And so there wasn't all of this like annoyance in our faces, and we could like offer our things to the ocean. For me, my offerings are really based on the feelings that I wanted to cultivate in this next 6 months. But they were also offerings to the ocean, offerings to the collective. And so for me, I offered sweetness by offering some strawberries into the ocean, which a bunch of like hungry seagulls quickly quickly partook. I was like, okay, great. Just like continuing the cycle. I offered milk so that I could have some purity of heart, so that I was sure that my intentions were as clear as possible, as pure as possible. I offered some money because I want to offer prosperity, throwing money into the ocean so that we could all remember that we live in this infinitely abundant world if we take care of Mother Earth. I offered some stones and some shells that were representative of intuition, insight, clarity. And then I finally offered a bunch of flowers for grace and beauty. These were all the things that I wanted to feel as I take lead in this next 6 months, as I play even bigger. And so, if you haven't done this yet, you can still do this, especially with this beautiful, beautiful new moon, so that you can really share what you want. I know that this time that it can feel really, really, really difficult to have hope, have possibility, because there's so much uncertainty in the world. Now, I'm sure that if you are listening to this, we are blessed and we are privileged. We are not dealing with any climate disasters. We're not dealing with any war or genocide. We're not dealing with just the need to survive. And if this is you, like really truly count your blessings. Now, how is it possible? How do we reconcile being able to hope for the best when so much of the world is not at its best? But because we are, some of the privileged few that we get to choose, this is even more important for us to choose to play bigger, to do the right things, to collect all of our courage, to use it and to harness it compassionately. And what I mean by this is that this is time for us to do the inner work. Because during times of uncertainty, right, we get fearful. We feel afraid of like what's going to happen. And the systems that we breathe and live create fear in us, create shame in us from like our different identities, or like, you don't fit in on this, you don't fit on that because of whatever, like gender or sexual orientation or religion or skin color or background, right? We feel that we are this idea of scarcity, that everything is urgent, that the money is not going to be coming. And so how do we work with the scarcity? We feel that we might need to silence ourselves and not say the important things, because maybe if we say something, then people aren't going to give us business, or maybe if we say something else, we're going to offend this person. our family or our culture. And then also like because of like the internet and like just all of I have to say, I admit I'm totally addicted to my phone. That creates this feeling of separation that makes us feel that we don't belong with others, that we are separated from others. And so the systems that we live and breathe, capitalism, patriarchy, misogyny, all of the systems, colonial, imperialism. Who benefits from us being afraid, shamed, feeling scarce, not speaking up, and feeling alone? Like, truly, who benefits? But we have the choice to choose a different way. And because Jupiter, the planet of expansion, it's not just the planet of expansion, it's the planet of belief, it's the planet of freedom of choice. So, what will you choose? You can choose to be afraid, or you can choose to understand that your fears are your friends asking you to do something differently, to go on a quest. You can choose to be ashamed of your background, your identity, your whatever, your challenges, your pains, your hurts, the failures. You can choose to be ashamed, or you can choose to see these as learning lessons that you have gained a beautiful gift from. You can choose to feel scarcity. I don't have enough for this. I don't have enough for that. I don't have enough of this. Or you can believe and choose that, oh my gosh, look at this. My needs will always be met. You can choose to be silent and not speak up for what you want. Or you can choose to advocate for yourself and express your needs, even if it upsets somebody else. At least you spoke your truth. And you can feel that you're separated, all alone. Or you can choose to reach out, send the invitation, be connected, whether this is to your family that maybe you've lost touch with, or to a friend that you lost touch with, or to somebody that you want to be friends with, but are afraid that you'll be rejected. At least if you reached out, you have done a part in connection and stopping that sense of separation. Okay, so I want you to remember that this is a choice. Now, if you're feeling this, right, this uncertainty, and in this uncertainty, you're not seeing possibilities, you're not hearing the wind say, how do you want to feel as you usher in this new future with a courageous heart? If you're feeling like you want to stick your head in the sand, you want to run away, you want to play small, you don't want to show up, if you feel that you're shrinking and making decisions based on scarcity, then guess what? Welcome to your sign, right? When we are extra scared, especially like the things that you've worked on before in your life. I'm speaking from experience here, okay? So, like, no judgments, right? If you're feeling in this place of stuckness based on fear or scarcity or silence or whatever that is, however it shows up for you, how it manifests for you, this is your sign. What I have noticed in myself as well as my clients is that every time we're hitting a wall where we're overwhelmed, where maybe we're overwhelmed, we're afraid, so we just want to hide. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that I hide by taking a nap and like feeling tired and all of these things. If this is you, I want you to remember that anytime you're facing that wall again, this is a sign that your soul is ready for a big leap. But you have to choose. Okay. It's not that like, so oftentimes these kinds of signs of a big leap, right? It's very easy to go your same way and just avoid, hide, whatever it is for you. Now, or you can choose to react differently. You can choose to understand what that fear wants you to do. Because when you take work from this place of, I don't want to deal with this fear anymore. I don't want to feel scarce. I don't want to feel fearful. I don't want to feel shameful. I don't want to feel separated. This is your call to do your inner work because you are ready to take that big leap. That is your sign. Now, inner work, right? A lot of clients come to me wanting to know astrology, wanting to know how to like find their soul customers, wanting to know their way, their strategy, wanting to know their system, wanting to know all these things. And yes, I can show that to a person. However, if we're not all that, I call that the outer work, the outer impact, the outer leadership, the outer expression, because that's the part of that we're broadcasting into the world. But if our inner work, if our inner game is not set for expansion, for rootedness, for groundedness, for facing the uncertainty, then let me tell you, no matter what strategies you know, no matter what marketing or sales strategies or communication strategies or whatever, it's not going to work because you're still playing small. You're still hiding in whatever and avoiding in whatever shame or separation or insecurity that you might have. And so your inner work, especially at this time with Cancer new moon conjunct Jupiter, is saying, how do you expand your emotional capacity? That is the inner work. Sometimes people might call this shadow work. Sometimes people might call this like facing your demons or facing the devil. Whatever it is, I see this inner work as expanding your capacity. Because for me, there's no such thing as healing, there's no such thing as letting go of fear or releasing your demons. These are parts of you that walk with you, that you're meant to befriend. You can't let go of a trauma. You change instead the relationship that you have with that challenge, with that pain, so that you can befriend it. You can understand what gifts, because I'm certain that all of the challenges that you have overcome, that you have worked through, you have picked up a tool, a strength, a gem on your quest. I like to think of, I'm not a video game player, but my mom is a video game player. My husband's a video game developer. My son loves video games. And so I'm video game, adjacent. But what I know about video games, right, is like you have these different levels. And at the end of a different level, there is a boss monster that you have to defeat. And when you defeat that boss monster, you get a special gift, whether it's a new strength or a new tool or a gem or whatever it is. And that's the same in your life. Every time you face a bigger challenge, and oftentimes that challenge, that boss monster, is the same one, but you've grown, so the boss monster has grown too. It wants you to unlock another level. That's the whole spiral journey, because you're going up a level if you choose to do the work. Now, I've seen people who have absolutely refused to do the work. They stay happy, like placing blame on everybody else, staying small, staying like hiding, staying separate, and like, woe is me, the whole world is against me. Yeah, you can choose that. It's a very easy, comfortable road, even though it's very challenging and very uncomfortable because you don't have the resources or the connections that you truly need. All it takes is choosing to face your demons, to face your boss monster, to understand what it wants you to unlock, and then to harness that gift. I've been sharing a lot of the emotional expansion that I've been doing this season because I'm getting ready for my book release in 2026. I'm getting ready for me talking on bigger astrology stages in 2026. Is it scary? You bet. That's why I'm doing the work now, because I want to show up even bigger. And so, what is that inner work for you? Now, after I talk a little bit of the astrology of this new moon, I'm going to give you some self soothing and nurturing according to your moon sign, because you better be sure that your moon sign, your personal moon sign, unlocks what you need to create that sense of emotional resilience, emotional nurturing. How do you create that emotional security in yourself so that you can do the big work? This is foundational. It is rooted. That's why we think about Cancer and the Cancer zodiac as the ruler of the fourth house, right at the Imam Coeli that roots us into our past, into our legacy. It is the sign that is opposite of Capricorn, our public life, root to rise, root to rise. Okay, so let's take a look at the astrology of this new moon in Cancer. Now, this chart is cast from San Francisco, where I currently will be for the next week before I go back to Hawaii for the summer. And so, this particular, don't worry about the houses because the houses are calculated according to San Francisco. But our new moon happens at 4 degrees and 8 solar arc minutes on Wednesday, June 25th. 3:32 a.m. Pacific, 6:32 a.m. Eastern. And so you can see this beautiful Cancer new moon, this Cancer new moon ruled by the moon and just a degree away from Jupiter at 3 degrees of Cancer. So this is so beautiful. Jupiter is in the eye of the sun. It's in this beautiful zone where the sun and the moon and Jupiter, all of these energies are blended. Moon's energy to feel and to create emotional security and cultivate security. The sun, our energy to shine bright, the creative brilliance that radiates through us, and Jupiter, the symbol, the planet that says, what are your beliefs? How do you want to expand? How do you want to feel hope, optimize, maximize, and your freedom of choice? Because your freedom of choice, you can only choose what you believe. And so really getting your belief set down with how do you want to feel? Do you believe that feeling is possible? If that answer is no, well, that's perfect because now you know where to start. Okay. And so this particular new moon is really, really asking, how do you want to feel and what do you need to believe to play bigger? Yes. How do you want to feel? What do you need to believe as you play bigger? Remember that feeling, that belief, you get to choose. Don't let anybody else tell you. Now, this new moon is also sextile Mars in Virgo. So we have this beautiful earth and water sextile. Remember that a sextile is an opportunity. Somebody's knocking on the door. You got to answer the door. If you don't answer the door, you won't get the opportunity. Now, the opportunity here, new moon sextile Mars, not just the new moon, but like the new moon plus Jupiter sextiling Mars, is how can you advocate and go after what you desire? Again, what do you need to feel? And what do you need to believe in your ability to advocate? Whether for you, advocate is doing the right thing, saying the right thing, seeing the right thing, hearing the right thing, making sure that you're activating on the right thing, right? Advocacy is about doing the right thing, standing up for the right thing. And Mars activates. So it's actually going after what you desire. So, how can you advocate and go after what you desire? What are the feelings? So, what do you need to believe as you stand up for and go for what you desire? Now, the last aspect that I want to talk about this particular new moon, of course, is this big, thick red line here, this square, an opening square, because the sun and the moon and Jupiter are moving faster, moving away from Saturn and Neptune, which are getting closer and closer into the conjunction. They'll get super close in July, not exact by solar arc minutes, but exact by degree. And this square, this opening square, is a catalyst. It is an activation. It is a trigger, something that happens to you from the outside. That's why it's that catalyst. Something is happening outside of you. But what is happening outside of you? Saturn and Neptune, that compassionate courage, that ability to crystallize, that ability to transcend. Something is activating and triggering you so that you can take compassionate courage. Now, for me, I'm assuming that this is truly about you facing your fears. This is truly about heeding the sign that is there. So I want you to really pay attention. What activates you? What activates your fear? What triggers your hiding or avoidance? What triggers you from in that procrastination that keeps you from playing bigger, right? What triggers you to keep small, to keep hiding, to shrink yourself, to not show up? Because when you pay attention and you know those triggers, you can choose a different way. And so I shared before, like, and part of my expansion, that one of my triggers is that I get tired. When I get overwhelmed, I just can't do it anymore. And for me, overwhelm is the fear of being seen differently, being afraid of people not understanding me, being afraid that my ideas are too out there, being afraid that I'm just going to be like everybody else, like different and the same. Like it's terrible how they both play. And for me, when I get overwhelmed and I want to hide, I take a nap. But I have been doing the work and I've seen that little Leslie, the person that wants to hide. And she's hiding behind a dark stage. Like if you can think of a theater, she's hiding on the sidelines in the dark, but she so desperately wants to be out in the middle of the stage with the lights shining on her so that she can share her message. And when I talk to her and when I can create this relationship and transform the relationship with the hiding, afraid Leslie, everything changes. But in order to have that conversation with my afraid self, my hiding self, my avoidant self, takes compassion because I have to be compassionate with her, to understand her, to allow her to soften and open up. And it also takes courage. So, as you think about this new moon, this is really your time to set a fresh intention. And this fresh intention doesn't need to be anything more than how do I want to feel as I take lead and play bigger? What do I need to believe in myself as I play bigger? As I expand my leadership, what is the inner work I am here to do? So, I'm going to give you a few clues based on your moon sign. Now, I have a lot of episodes based on a lot of old episodes, and I have a playlist on YouTube called Illuminating Your Moon Sign in Your Work. I'm going to put that link to the playlist in the description. So, if you want to go explore your moon sign, feel free to go explore your moon sign. I have like 5 ways to use your moon, illuminating your moon sign in your brand, the moon sign in your business, in your business Q&A. But I also have on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is B star powered. And I have a pinned post about feeling the uncertainty. Your moon sign holds the key to rootedness. And I want to come back to this because I find this is such an important piece of our change making work and our leadership, because your moon sign is your emotional gatekeeper, meaning your emotions, if they are not feeling secure and certain with yourself, you're going to make decisions based on fear, based on your shadows, based on those old ways of being. But your moon sign can show us what you need to nurture yourself, to expand your emotional capacity, and to respond under pressure. So this goes back directly to your moon sign. Of course, if you've been working with me before in all my classes, like in Star Powered Position, we really go deep into your moon sign about the stories that it wants you to understand, looking at the aspects, its house placement. But the moon sign is such an important part in our business because it allows us to do the big unknown things. And simply because it's unknown, everything in our leadership, right, is truly about we're trailblazing. Nobody's done what we have done before. So there is no template. There is no tried and true way. But the tried and true way doesn't mean that it's your way. So to do the unknown thing, which of course is fearful because it's uncertain, it's unknown, we have to learn how to self-soothe, feel secure, create emotional centeredness, know what success feels like for us. Like Hello, my friends. Success is not just money. What does the money afford you to feel like? That's the key. Okay. And to take big leaps in your change making work. So, as a leader, as a change maker, as an entrepreneur, you need to emotionally regulate with your moon. And because we are in such a precipice of ushering in a new world, we now have to expand our emotional capacity. So I'm going to go through all 12 moon signs and I'm going to share with you what you need to harness and what you need to cultivate, what you need to nurture within yourself so that you can do the big things in your change making work. Okay. If you have an Aries moon, and so many of my clients have this Aries moon, I love this. Aries moon, your emotional capacity growing is about self awareness. And when you are self aware, you are really understanding what activates you, what motivates you, what allows you to get your blood pumping and excites you. So, to self soothe with your moon, I want you to focus on movement, workouts, martial arts, things that allow you to expand your body, move your body, use your body. Aries, okay? Self awareness. What do you need to know about yourself? If you're a Taurus moon, this is about how do you cultivate and nurture your self worth. For you, it's really about finding and attuning to the value that you are creating in the world and knowing what you value. Now, to self soothe with your Taurian body, again, with your moon sign, you want to grab things that make your body feel comfortable. Because ultimately, I'm talking about the self soothing and the self regulation together, because oftentimes we are embodied, we are human. And so living in our body means taking care of our body, making feel it feels comfortable. So for Taurus, weighted blankets, bear hugs, soothing scents, and really yummy meals. For my Gemini moons, how can you increase and cultivate your emotional capacity through self expression? Truly sharing your needs, expressing your needs, making sure that you are seen and felt as somebody who is clever, who has the ideas. Now, for you to self regulate and be one with your body is about reading, journaling, breath work, and socializing, talking it through. For my cancer moons, how do you need to increase your emotional capacity using self-care? Self-care isn't just about manicures and pedicures. It is about taking care of your heart and soul. And so, what does that mean for you? What does self care mean for you? What does it mean to create space for you to care for yourself? To regulate yourself and to soothe, maybe being at home or in a private sanctuary, a space that's only yours, your self-care rituals, your safe spaces, and being near water. If you have a Leo moon, this is about how do you cultivate and expand your self love. That's right, my friend. I hope you enjoy yourself. I hope you love yourself. I hope that you think you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. And for you, how do you cultivate that? Now, to feel good in your body with your Leo moon, this is about dancing, having fun, laughter, light therapy. Like, yes, get out in the sun, get that LED, those red lights or whatever you need, and being creative play for no other reason than simply to have fun. For my Virgo moons, I know you have a heavy moon, high expectations, but it's not about being perfect. It's truly about self integration. How do you cultivate and expand your emotional capacity by integrating your mind, body, spirit so that you feel well and good? And so, activities for you in your body to self regulate and nurture yourself would be, of course, yoga that connects mind, body, spirit, gardening where you're feeling part of the earth, organizing your spaces, and mindful eating. For my Libra moon friends, this is about you cultivating and expanding your self balance. And self-balance means, what are your needs? Are you sure that you're prioritizing your needs, creating win-win situations, and not going overboard with people pleasing? For Libras, it's really important to feel good in your body with co-regulation, simply being with another person to help you regulate yourself, a trusted, loving person, socializing, beautifying yourself, your space, and sharing your experiences. For my Scorpio moons, for you, how do you increase your capacity for self trust? Noticing your red flags, noticing your green flags, noticing your intuition, where your intuition speaks through you, through your body. To regulate your body is about having deep conversations, sharing your truth with people that you can trust, journaling, doing your shadow work, and eliminating anything that is unnecessary. For my Sagittarius moon friends like me, this is about self belief. What do you need to believe in yourself to grow your emotional capacity, to say that you are worth everything that you believe? And for you, Sagittarius, to co-regulate, to regulate and nurture your body as you go through this expansion, exploring, learning, expanding your mind's horizons, traveling, trying different cuisines, expanding your horizons. For my Capricorn moon friends, just like those Virgo moons, it can be very, very very, very heavy, but know that you hold so much wisdom in your bones. And my Capricorn moon friends, your key to emotional expansion and capacity building is self-determination. Now, self determination doesn't mean to hustle and keep going, but it also means to know when to rest, to know when to stop, to know when you're doing the work for you and being, having that kind of integrity, or if you're holding responsibilities of others. For you, Capricorn moons, to feel good in your body is to work your bones, work your structures, do strength training, grounding, gentle chiropractic, like taking care of your bones and the nutrients that help your bone health. Now, for my Aquarius moon friends, your key to emotional expansion is self authenticity, meaning, who the heck are you supposed to be? So, similar to the Aries about self awareness, but now authenticity means like, stop hiding your true self. Let all of your glorious colors fly. For Aquarius, to self regulate your body, it's about tapping into your nervous system, whether it is truly tapping, EFT, or acupuncture, or energy healing, binaural beats, being with friends, socializing, even sound and breath work for our air signs. And lastly, for my all feeling, omnipresent Pisces moon friends, your key to expansion is about self compassion and really filtering out all of the energies that do not belong to you. Pisces moons are extra absorbent. And so there's no way to create boundaries for Pisces moons, okay? Instead, I want you to think of filters. Think of like Star Trek Enterprise, or any of the Star Trek ships. They all have those energetic kind of boundaries. They're not exactly boundaries, they're like force fields. Use your force fields to be able to filter out what is yours versus what is somebody else's, because you want to only keep what is yours. You're extra absorbent. So for my Pisces moons to feel regulated and in your body, you know, listen to music, really work on the vibe, being in water, energy clearing, creative flow, anything that's going to up your vibe is going to work for you. So I really hope that those tools will give you some understanding about what your moon needs, your particular moon side needs to grow the emotional capacity. Now, to personalize your Cancer new moon ritual, I want you to listen for your rising sign. Or if you know where 4 degrees of Cancer exists in your natal chart, listen for the house that is being activated. Because with this new moon, you get to set a fresh intention to plant your seeds to make space for your expanding leadership by expanding your emotional capacity. Okay. So this is where you're going to plant your seeds to expand your emotional capacity so that you can take your big leaps. If you're an Aries rising or have the fourth house being activated, you're expanding your sacred spaces, communities, and inner life. If you're a Taurus rising and have this new moon in your third house, you're expanding your emotional capacity for peaceful communications that welcome everyone. If you're a Gemini rising or have the new moon in the second house, this is about increasing your emotional capacity for your values and abundance from inclusivity and care. If you're Cancer rising or have this 4 degrees of Cancer in your first house, like me, like I'm a Gemini rising, but this new moon is activating my first house. For me and you, our invitation is how can we create emotional capacity for our sensitive leadership that holds protective space? For Leo risings, and if you have this in your 12th house, 4 degrees of Cancer in your 12th house, how can you increase your emotional capacity for soul-aligned philanthropy that protects the othered? For my Virgo rising friends, or if this is in your 11th house, how can you expand your emotional capacity for collective social impact based on emotional security and health? For my Libra risings, or if you have 10th house being activated, your invitation is how to create emotional capacity for your ultimate mission for protecting the peace. What are you doing here and now to protect the peace and protect the earth, protect women, protect children? If you're a Scorpio rising or have 4 degrees of Cancer in the 9th house, how are you going to expand your capacity for deep purpose to secure emotional safety for you and your clients? If you have a Sagittarius rising or have 4 degrees of Cancer activating your 8th house, how will you increase your emotional capacity for healing rooted in intimate trust? For my Capricorn rising friends, or if you have 7th house with 4 degrees of Cancer, how are you increasing your emotional capacity for accountable partnerships built on mutual respect? So yes, growing your partnerships and your soul customers. For my Aquarius rising friends, or if you have Cancer 4 degrees activating your 6th house, how can you expand your emotional capacity for innovating daily rituals for self-care? Daily self-care, Aquarius risings or 6th house activations. And lastly, if you're a Pisces rising or you have 4 degrees of Cancer in your 5th house, this is about you increasing your emotional capacity for flowing play that creates joyful belonging. All right, my friends, I really hope that you can feel the call for this. This is such a beautiful time to set a new intention. Please go forth. I would love to hear what you are intending and what you're being called to increase your emotional capacity for, because we are all here to share our light in a very big way. All right, my friends, if you like this episode, please share it with somebody, leave a comment, subscribe. Please give me the gift of visibility. All right, I'll see you soon. Happy new moon. Bye for now. As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.